Hi, everyone, and welcome to this webinar about health insurance. So this is really for people who are maybe considering leaving education and who are concerned that they don't know how they're going to manage that situation when they want to leave, but their insurance is linked to their workplace. And so they want to get some advice about how they might be able to manage to leave and still stay insured. So I've got Nate Beer here, who is going to explain a little bit about what he does and about how he might be able to help in that situation. So Nate, it's over to you.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. First things first, I appreciate you, and on behalf of the group, allowing me to be around for this webinar today. It's truly an honor and a pleasure. Anything that I can do to help out the educators of the US, obviously wish I could do beyond just that, but anything I can do to help is, like I said, an honor and a pleasure. So as far as myself, my name is Nate Beer, B-E-E-R, like the beverage. It's a bit of a running joke because I spell it out like that. Also, my new business name, which I think is linked to this, is The Insurance Pioneer, website coming soon. So what I did before this, so I'm 25, going to be 26 in August. And funny enough, helping people with their insurance is only the second job I've ever had. Prior to doing this, I was in the restaurant industry for about 7 years. Last 4 was a manager. I worked for one restaurant the whole time. And for a long time, I was pretty happy with where I was at. Obviously, much like in education, COVID kind of changed everything. They reduced my staff, kept my hours the same. So I was doing the job of about 3 to 4 people and getting paid for one person. So I stuck it out for about a year and then made my way out of the insurance, or out of the restaurant industry rather. Funny enough, I think yesterday, the 17th, was 1 year since my last day at the restaurant. And from there, found my way into health insurance, becoming a small business owner and helping people out with anything relating to health insurance, dental, vision, the bells and whistles, you name it.
I'm sure that what you've just said about feeling that like you're doing the job of 6 people, I'm sure a lot of teachers would resonate with that feeling of overwhelm and feeling like they just can't continue. Okay, so tell us, now that you've given us a little bit of a background, what does a day look like in your day, and how do you help people to manage their insurance and set themselves up so that they can actually be independent of the workplace?
Yes, so I'm glad you asked that. It's so funny. You'd think with being a restaurant manager, I actually work longer hours now than I did back then because, they were paying me a salary. But for this, the more I work, the more people I'm able to help. That is directly tied to my income. So I'm usually getting to the office about 7 in the morning. With the different time zones we have here, you call people in the morning on the East Coast and then Central, so on and so forth. And maybe I'll take an hour or 2 break in the middle of the day. But for the most part, I'm coming up here at 7 in the morning and I'm not leaving until about 8, 9 p.m. in the evening. So long hours, but it is all, of course, tied to time zones. And I just get, all these different hundreds of people that have made these requests for information about health insurance. Some are looking for a specific kind, but either way, I pick up the phone, either, calling people or messaging them on Facebook, of course. And anybody that on the phone is able to let me get out my first sentence without hanging up on me, because most people have a tendency to hear the word health insurance and they've probably been called 40 times already, hang up. If they can actually let me get to a point where I can continue, I usually find that I am able to help them, even if it's not putting them on a new plan, or one of my plans rather. They may have gone online and Googled, how do I look up where to find if this doctor takes my insurance? And that's something that I can do. Yeah, it only takes me a couple minutes and doesn't make me any money. But at the end of the day, I didn't get into health insurance for the money. I did it because I wanted to help people and ultimately leave a legacy of something good that will be around long after I'm gone.
Okay, sounds good. So let's get down to the nitty gritty. What if someone was wanting to leave there? So I have this avatar that I talk about all the time. Her name is Donna. She's 52. She's burnout, stressed, overwhelmed. She's been teaching for decades. She wants to get out, and she's fearful that if she leaves her job, she won't be covered by insurance. Maybe she has a partner, but their insurance won't cover her, or it won't be sufficient. What advice would you give to someone in that situation, Nate?
Yes. So it's obviously got to be easier than just to call Nate, but that's probably one of the biggest things that I run into specifically with employer coverage is either A, they are the person who is receiving insurance in the household. Maybe the husband's employer or wife's employer doesn't offer it, or more often than not, it's a case of it's too expensive. So using, again, American Insurance as an example, most employers will offer a pretty sizable contribution on their end towards the employee's insurance because they have a financial investment in said employee. So I can't tell you how many times I've talked to someone who maybe it's a woman who's 30, her husband is 32, and they have a 3-year-old baby. And when they were getting insurance through the employer, maybe they're getting it just for themselves because the husband has a plan that they can put the child on. They might be paying $100 a month for just themselves through the employer, which most places you go is going to be a fantastic price. And usually the coverage is quite sufficient. But if they want to add a spouse or a child on because maybe the spouse or child loses their coverage, I can't tell you how many times I've seen it go from, hey, you're going to pay $100 a month for yourself to you're paying $1,000 a month for the 3 of you, because whatever contribution is being paid is either very, very small, or more oftentimes they're paying full price for their husband and child. And if there's a situation where they can continue paying $100 for themselves and I can put their spouse and child onto one of my plans and they're only having to pay $500 a month, obviously that's $400 a month saved, $4,800 over the course of the year, sometimes even more. And that can be obviously life-changing money because they didn't necessarily know how to go about that, if you will.
Okay. Yeah. I never thought of it that way, that you might, if the primary breadwinner was the teacher, that they might be able to put the rest of the family on a different plan.
There actually is one more thing I wanted to cover on that specific subject. So certainly I know teachers are going to be familiar with this. A lot of times they might think that their only option is taking the extended COBRA option from the employer. And in the States, COBRA, I'm not entirely sure what it stands for, but it's basically you continue on your same employer plan that you had previously, but instead of getting that contribution, maybe the one that makes it $100 a month, you're paying full price. And typically for COBRA, especially if they're a little bit, over the age of 50 or 60, or if it's for a family, you might see that whatever they were paying before gets doubled, even tripled. So when I hear somebody say COBRA, I almost have like a bell go off in the back of my head. It's like, okay, they're about to tell me that if what actual cost is for them is like $300, they're about to tell me that they're paying $700-800 a month just to extend their current insurance. And obviously there might be another option out there that could be half the price or even less. Even if it's not one of mine, I can still point them in the direction of that plan.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. So there's lots of things to consider. That's what you're telling me.
Absolutely.
Okay. So if someone wanted to find out more information, how do they go about doing that? What's the best way forward? And how can you help people with specific questions? So maybe, well, Meg's the only one here on the call at the moment, but if you want to put any questions in the chat, Meg, that Nate can answer, feel free to go ahead and do that. But yeah, so often people say that's their biggest concern is I want to leave, but I'm worried about the rest of the family's health insurance. What's the best way forward?
Yes. So the most important thing, and I will include it in the chat. Obviously, I know I provided it to Elizabeth when we originally spoke last week, but I've got several phone numbers, several email addresses, and I mean, Facebook, any way you have the ability to reach out to me, my phone, my computer, it's always by my side. Even when I'm not at the office, of course, I'm working, because it could just be a question of, I've obviously, besides teachers, I've helped numerous people in the travel medical field, which is a huge proponent of the type of insurance I specialize in, ones that travel across state lines. So I know with traveling medical personnel, they work crazy overnight hours. So I've had people that, yes, I have to plan my other schedule around it, but I might need to wake up for a 2 a.m. phone call with somebody that is only available at nights. So however you need to reach out to me, and even if I send you a message back at an unusual hour, you're under no obligation to reply right away. I'll reply to your message as soon as I see it, but calling me, texting me, email, Facebook, any way you need to get a hold of me, just to kind of start that initial dialogue. I will typically ask for some information from you that'll allow me to start running quotes. But from there, I can give you sort of like a range of options as far as, if you had a basic medical plan, no dental, no vision, nothing else, it's going to be about this much. And if you had all of the above, it's going to be more like this. And if that's a range that is, suitable for them, I'm not trying to, trust me, I'm not trying to tell anybody an unpayable price, where I like to joke, you can't pay the mortgage just to cover the health insurance premiums. So whatever is going to fit into your budget, that just might direct me to another avenue, whether it's through the marketplace, depending on your level of income. There's really all different number of options, but my goal is always, always, always to try and provide you with the most comprehensive plan for your needs and budget.
Okay, so because I have a very different system here in Australia, I don't really get how it works over there, but it seems to me that if you're on, if you've got like often people say they've got a disability or something like that, where they need extra insurance, and that's one of the reasons they hesitate to leave the job. How do you help people in a situation like that?
So again, in the interest of brevity, there are a number of plans that are not necessarily geared towards people that have these we use pre-existing condition is the term in America, where you might have a medication or a condition that would take you out of consideration for any sort of a medically underwritten, is the term, plan, kind of like how you do life insurance. So if that is a situation where you are not able to qualify for that type of medically underwritten insurance, you obviously can still reach out to me. It's not like I'm just going to ignore you, but at the same time, it may be a situation where I either have to go check out a plan on the marketplace, if it has a question of meeting a deductible, and then you can start getting your $3,000 medication at a reduced rate, or whatever ends up, that's kind of the blanket statement I use, is whatever plan best fits your needs. So if you have no medications, you're just a regular healthy person who wants to be able to go get their physical once a year, and if something happens, then yeah, we can probably get you on one of those medically underwritten plans. But if it's a situation where there might be a more expensive medication or something that might not be able to be considered, I also have a very trusted network of referral partners, some of whom specialize in those types of plans. Now, as always, it's going to come down to the budget, but if nothing else, even if it's not me personally that is helping you, I have, in my year of being a small business owner, built up this network of trusted referral partners that I would happily send anybody to, because I know that they're going to take just as good of care of them as I would.
Right. Okay. So it sounds like there's lots of ways you can help. You can either find the plan yourself and support people to decide which is the most suitable one for them, or you can help people to find somebody else who can help them with a particular plan. So if you had a pre-existing condition, like I'm not wearing them right now because I'm vain, but I usually wear glasses to be like on the computer. is that the kind of thing that you could also incorporate into your health insurance?
Oh, no question. Obviously, besides just the base medical insurance, I have a great selection of dental plans, vision insurance, accident coverage, critical illness, life, short-term disability coverage. There's all different kinds of things that can either be bundled with the medical.
Okay.
I find a lot of times people, if all of those things that I listed off, if you had them and got them from different places, you're basically getting 7 charges drafted out of your account every month. That doesn't really make sense. Why not just have it all come from the same place?
Yeah.
And not only that, I find that one of the biggest assets that I am able to provide, other than just, help with their situation and potentially providing them with one of my plans to take the place of their current one, is people go online and they put in this request and they get 50, 60, a million robot calls from these 1-800 spam numbers that I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that they actually will give up on searching for the health insurance because they're so frustrated by their phone getting bombarded with calls and texts. And believe me, I get it. Sometimes it can be easy for me to get lost in that shuffle of all these people. But at the end of the day, what I think most people just want is a real, actual human being who they can depend on, reach out to. That's why I make sure everybody has my direct cell phone number, because I'm not trying to give you some sort of a runaround where you can just call me, text me, whatever you need, even if it's, hopefully it's before the fact, but even if it's after the fact. I got a call from a woman, gosh, I put her on a policy about a month ago. She had maybe been on the policy for about 3-4 days, and she's calling me saying, I'm having like shortness of breath. I'm having difficulty breathing. Can I use my insurance already? And of course, my heart skips a beat, and I'm on the phone with this woman for about 20 minutes while she's driving to the clinic. I'm calling ahead. I'm trying to get whatever insurance info I can provide that doesn't have to come from her, so that as soon as she gets there, they don't have to have her sit in this waiting room while she's, truly gasping for breath, and they can just get her in, get her treated, and obviously get her the medical attention that she needs. So using her as an example, maybe try to get a hold of me before that is the case, but if nothing else, I can kind of assist with all of that stuff and, hopefully be that resource that people are counting on. It's almost like, I'm trying to think of the best example, obviously car dealerships are one, but somewhere you would go and just get that personal service from a real friendly person. That's what I try to provide in the way of health insurance, which is something that most people have lacked for a long time. I guess that all kind of goes back to my restaurant customer service background. My being able to take care of my clients is the number one most important thing to me. Always has been, always.
Do you have a slide or something you can share with your details on it?
Let me see if I can. I'm sure that I do. Let me see if I can dig that up real quick, maybe on my phone.
Or at least, like put it in the chat. Or maybe we can. I guess I can email out people who've.
I have a photo of my business card.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
I will go ahead and I'll message that over to you, Elizabeth, and then you can put it wherever it would need to go.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Because I am still, especially as I kind of transition from just being Nate Beer Health Benefits Advisor to Nate Beer, the Insurance Pioneer. I am still working on my Facebook page and my website. I've been working with a graphic designer for a little bit, but I'm fingers crossed, hoping that's going to be all set up by the end of the month. And that's where I can start redirecting potential interested.
Okay, sounds good. And I love that you know about the education space, Nate, and that you're, you understand the frustrations of teachers. I think that's really something that you are able to bring that knowledge and that understanding to the table in a way that not everyone else would be able to. So I really appreciate that you're willing to have this conversation today. All right, I'm waiting. Have you put that in the chat for me? Or did you send it in Facebook? Oh,
I sent it on Facebook Messenger
oh
to
no,
you.
that's fine. Yep, no
I
worries.
figured
I'll get
you
that.
a better way of going about that. But no, I'm really glad you brought up about, helping teachers, because I, though not an educator myself, I'm surrounded by teachers. My girlfriend is a teacher, and actually, like I'm sure a lot of members of the group are, she will be making her way out of teaching this. I think of course she's got the countdown, but about 30 something more days to go is kind of, she's got her countdown going. But between my girlfriend, who was the one who introduced me to the group anyway, my godmother is an educator. My brother and sister-in-law are both in education in Kansas City. My brother's in high school history teacher, and my sister-in-law is a special ed teacher slash, I think she might be in administration now. But just hearing all of the four of them talk about how difficult it is, something I don't need to spend any time talking about, because you all will have a much better understanding of it than I. But just seeing, for my girlfriend specifically, how big of a drag it's been on her mental health in these crazy times, that's why when she was able to introduce me to the group and how so many people are looking for health insurance, I was like, even if I didn't make a dime on this, whatever I can do to help, especially when I see so many people saying, I want to leave, but health insurance. Mm-hmm. Whether or not you decide to stay in teaching, to leave in teaching, that's not for me to tell you. That's a decision that is completely independent. What I will say is, don't let confusion or uncertainty about your health insurance be what is stopping you from making that decision, because it could be a 5-minute call to me. I might be able to provide some insight that was not previously made aware. And if that were to influence your decision one way or another, it would be an honor and a pleasure. I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times.
Oh, that's lovely. All right. So is there anything else I should be asking you before we wrap this up today, Nat?
No, I really appreciate you letting me go on for a little bit. And again, for the platform, hopefully this is something that I can make semi-regular appearances to as more people become interested and have questions to provide for me. If not, by reaching out to me directly in this public forum, I'm more than happy to do it.
Awesome.